Okay, so this is April 2023 Restricted Masters Final. And this race was taking place at about 8:30 or maybe 9 p.m. And at this point, obviously, Dan had already retired with his engine failure. So it's just me and Ian on the front. And David's alongside here. And I managed to go round the outside, which was really good. And unfortunately, my rear camera failed at this point. But I believe on this corner right here, David spun. And unfortunately had to DNF. So I don't know what else happened behind me, but I believe that there was a bit of a gap. And I'm really just focusing here. You can see how I lost a bit of space there to Ian. Just trying to keep up with Ian as much as I can. I did have a look behind me at some point and I realised that nobody was there. So it's just feeling like it was just Ian and I going for it here. And I'm really thinking, oh, I've got to stay with Ian as much as I possibly can. And I love the way this engine sounds with this camera because the other camera failed, so I've only got this one camera, and the sound quality is not as good, but it has a real meaty sound to it, which is really cool. And I feel like coming into these corners, I'm not doing too badly. Perhaps here I'm losing a little bit to Ian, but reasonably close. But I've just gotta really be really tidy and see how long I can stay with him. And I think it's just probably pretty much all the way around the circuit. He's just a little bit faster than me in every little spot. So being able to inch up on him is not easy. And also probably on the straight, I probably need to go down another couple of teeth, I think, because I really feel like I'm probably losing a few tenths here and there on the straight. Coming into here, not too bad. Again, I really feel like I can improve that corner there, the corkscrew. And this one, I tried out braking myself a few times earlier on in the event, and I feel like it wasn't the best thing to do, so that one's not too bad. And you can just see he's just inching away bit by bit every lap. Sadly, so I was feeling a little bit deflated here because I really wanted to stay with him as much as I could, but he just seems to be getting further and further away. And you can see because I got the green dots that this lap is better than the previous lap. So I was getting a little bit faster. He's still already about a second ahead of me though. Now, that was not too bad. And it's so much better to feel like he's in sight. It gives me something to focus on. And I think actually he said to me after the race that he was actually much faster in this race than he was in the previous one. Because I remember I was pegging him for quite a while in the previous race. But this one he's just taking off. So obviously some setting or something has improved for him. And I'm opening the engine vent again because I've lost the light on the Micron. I couldn't actually see what the temperature was, and I was just a bit paranoid about it. So I thought I'll just open the vent just in case, because I didn't want the engine to overheat. And that was the only technical issue we had this weekend, was the Micron light bursting. And there you go. I've got a green light, which means I'm going faster this lap than I was the previous lap. But he's already up in the midfield there. So I'm really starting to lose the visual of him now. So just see him coming out of that corner. There you go, 2 dots, which means 2 faster sectors. Oh, went over the bump a bit there, so there you go. So get a red immediately because it wasn't quite as quick. So definitely I think I can improve on the straights. And definitely through there I can improve. And now he's just gone completely. So I've even lost him as a visual reference. So he's probably a good 2 seconds ahead of me here, or maybe 2.5 seconds. So I'm all by myself on this circuit at the moment. I've no idea where the people are behind me, but because David spun, I think the others are probably a little bit further back. I love the sound of that engine. It sounds very meaty on this camera. Really not trying to take too many risks going into that corner. I feel like I'm braking quite early on the footage, but I tried out braking myself a few times and it just ends up washing off too much speed around the outside, so still experimenting with that. This corner I really like to duck the nose in, but if you go over the curb it does unsettle the kart a little bit, so still trying to work out what's the fastest way. Coming in there I'm getting the apex, which is good, so I feel like through there I'm not doing too badly. Yeah, a little bit of sideways there, so that's not good, which is losing me some speed, especially coming up here, where you need to keep the speed up. Really need to push that corkscrew a lot more. There we go, that was much nicer coming into that one. And I just need Ian to make a mistake, but he's not doing it, and I still can't see him. Again, I'm getting red dots, so that means I'm going a little bit slower than the previous lap. Yeah, really braking early there, so need to stretch that out a bit more. Bit sideways there, not quite going out to that curb. And it's just one corner after another here, but you want to get on that throttle as much as possible. So I got a green dot, so that was a little bit better, I guess. And again, I'm losing it in the first one. Bit of a lonesome race here, not much to talk about. Just trying to keep it smooth and tidy as I can. And it's really interesting because we've actually got two classes on at the moment. There's the tag 125s, which is open, and we're restricted masters. And it literally feels like I'm on the circuit by myself. But there are actually probably about 12 or 13 other karts on the circuit. It's just that I happen to be miles away from first and a little bit further away from, well, also a fair gap to third as well. And there we go, that's the end of the race. So that's actually quite a short one for a final. They must have reduced it to 10 laps or something. And thank you very much for watching. That's the end of the weekend. I actually ended up placing second place, which is my first ever podium. So that was really, really amazing. I mean, when I say podium, I mean podium for the actual day. I've had a second place and a number of fourth places, and a few other second places in Oakleigh as well. But this is the first time I've actually had second place for the actual whole event. And what was really interesting is earlier in the day, I remember I went into the tea room, and I saw the trophies on the table. And I was just looking around, and my eyes just locked onto the second place Masters trophy, and I was thinking, oh wow, I feel like I was drawn to that. And at that time of the day I was thinking, oh yeah, but David's a bit faster than me, and Dan was ahead of me in the first heat, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get second or not. And I was just kind of carefully dreaming about the podium at this point. And it just goes to show you that, you know, sometimes when you have a bit of a feeling that something could happen, it does. And it worked out that I somehow, because of errors from David and Dan with the blown engine, I managed to pick up second place. So I'm very proud of what I was able to achieve this weekend.
I've just got to thank my dad who's been here with me the whole time. I just started karting a year and a half ago, and it wasn't for me dragging him out and helping me, I wouldn't be able to do this, so thanks to him. And it was quite passionate today, it's a little bit too quick.